4:07 here on the program. Thanks very, very much for staying with us. We'll get to our weather a little bit later on. We really want to start our conversation now with our guest in our Cape Town studio. I suppose we all know her as the former Cape Town mayor, but I suppose most of us know her as Auntie Pat, okay? So I think that's what we're going to be calling her from now on. Patricia de Lille has decided that she's going to form a new political party, and she'll reveal the name of her new political party in the next 2 weeks. Yesterday, of course, she made that announcement in a press conference that she's forming a new party and would be contesting next year's elections. De Lille has been keeping the country in suspense about her next political move after, I suppose, a very difficult few months with a feud with the Democratic Alliance. Well, she's there. She's in our Sea Point studio. So let's begin our conversation with her. Auntie Pat, it's good to see you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you, Leanne.
So you're not giving up, are you? Are you not tired? Are you sort of like saying, listen, you know, politics, I've had enough of you. I'm going to retire in a beautiful home and just be. You nowhere near ready to retire, are you?
Yes, certainly that option is there, Leanne, to go in retirement and just be passive. But, you know, I'm driven by the love for South Africa, and I want to see our country succeed. I believe there are many good people in our country that would like to see South Africa prosper, because, you know, if good people do nothing, it's evil that prosper in our country. And I want to spend the rest of my life, and that I've got available to still work, to invite all South Africans, black, colored, Indian, white, the good people in our country, to come together so that we can save our country. And the way I want to do it, Leanne, is to use this opportunity to invite young people and women to come in and begin to have a voice, so that, you know, we make sure that we don't just talk about the bad things that's happening to us in life, but we actually do something about it. South Africa is in a democracy, and there's always a contestation of ideas. And I want to put this idea to the good people in South Africa that want to see us to build a good country. Let's come together.
Yeah, yeah. You know, do you think you'll have enough political support? Because you have said that you want to take this party nationally, all 9 provinces, and it's a vision that you have that you think can be successful. Do you think you'll have enough support?
Well, to make any decision on the next phase of my life, I did do some research. I did an Ipsos survey about a month ago. It came out that confirmed that there's support for a new idea to just disrupt the politics as usual in South Africa. And I have also consulted with my mentors, my family, and thousands of people in the past 2 weeks have come forward and drawn up a petition themselves to ask me to start a new political movement that could be more positive and build a good South Africa. So I've made a decision on the basis of evidence. And it's now up to South Africans and the voters to decide whether the contestation of ideas and this idea of a good South Africa, good people coming together, will succeed. And I'm prepared to take that leap into faith and test the idea.
So my question to you is, and you used quite an important phrase there, disrupt politics as usual. Now, in my opinion, and I think a lot of South Africans' opinions, that's where the EFF comes into it. They have come in and disrupted the political atmosphere in South Africa immensely. Many people speculating that you could possibly have joined the EFF. And I know that you mentioned yesterday you were approached by a number of political parties. Why not join the EFF? I mean, do they not speak your language? Is this not what you're trying to achieve? And they already are, starting on a very big base.
No, I've already made up my mind. I've got evidence to suggest that what I'm doing is the right way to go. I don't mean disrupt in the sense that you must break up Parliament and fight in Parliament. No, that is not the kind of disruption that I'm referring to. I'm referring to the template of politics. Politics as usual. That is what needs to be changed, so that we put the people first and not politicians first. And that to me is the kind of disruption, you know, and my experience of having been the mayor for the past 7 years in Cape Town, my experience of governance and building this iconic city, I would like to take that experience into the rest of the Western Cape and into the rest of the country. Because what I've shown in Cape Town under my leadership is that we can deliver if we have the political will to do so.
And you believe that the DA don't have the political will, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm finished with the DA. The DA is history. I just expect a very dirty campaign from them. But, you know, I'm a Democrat, and they must also accept within our democracy there is a space for a multi-party democracy, and they must continue to concentrate on what they can offer to South Africa, and I will concentrate on what I think should be this new template for politics going forward into our country.
Let's talk about the different political parties that are there, because I mean you obviously you've researched this, you've seen that the current political status is not working, and yes, you're coming in with a new option. Let's talk about, you said you were approached by different political parties, particularly the ANC and the EFF. So from the EFF's point of view, we haven't really touched on that too much. Who approached you? Did the leader himself, Julius Malema, approach you and ask you to join?
Well, I think really, and that's not relevant anymore. I saw Julius Malema yesterday welcoming within the space of our multi-party democracy that if there are other ideas that he actually welcomed it. Yes, I've looked at the options, of course, but for me it has never been about myself, Leanne. It's never about personal gain for me. I mean, I've been fighting since a very young age, but I've always fought for a cause, and I've always put my country first. So like the EFF and other political parties have their ideas of what is good for our country, I think that I want to mobilize the good people in South Africa to come together, black, white, colored, Indian. All of them come together so that we make sure that we do not allow the evil and the bad things to prosper in our country.
Yeah. You before you even made your announcement yesterday, you launched a website, and on it you talk about joining the fight of corruption, racism, crime and hate. I imagine this is exactly what your party is going to stand for. I mean, this is just a sign of what you're going to be fighting for here in South Africa.
Well, let me start with the issue of racism. I believe that the majority of South Africans are not racist, that the majority of South Africans are good people, but we need to confront racism that is still very rife in our country. And as the majority, we must say to those racists in our country that we will not allow racists to speak for us. But you cannot just put racism under the carpet and deny that it doesn't exist. It needs to be confronted. And that's what the good people in South Africa, good people will not tolerate racism. Good people will fight racism. So I'm going to be quite vocal about the issue of race, because when I was the mayor of the city of Cape Town, I had confronted racism head-on in Cape Town by putting up a special desk for people to report racism. And then, of course, the scourge of corruption. Corruption steals from the poor people. It has now become the norm in our country. Our country, people are looting in our country. And therefore, again, we need to mobilize good people to expose corruption, to make sure that we fight against corruption. But in 2 weeks' time, Leanne, I will be announcing the name of the good movement. And then at that time, I'll also unpack some policy positions and also bring in many of the people that have asked to join the movement already, and we will give more detail in 2 weeks' time.
Perhaps you gave us a little bit of a hint of maybe what it is going to be called, the good movement.
Well, you know what?
We're jumping the gun, but maybe that's a good name.
And it is within all of us. And I believe that there are good people in South Africa who want to see our country succeed.
I want to ask you, the councillors that left the DA in support of you, who were echoing very similar sentiments to what you are echoing, are they with you? Have they joined you?
Well, they've certainly supported me, Leanne. And now that I've made the announcement, they're free to join, and I believe that they will join me. But
so
you know, they resign out of principle.
Could we
they're
call
sitting
this
unemployed at home. And certainly I take my head off with them, and I respect them for standing up for principle.
Could we call this a breakaway faction of the DA?
It's certainly not a breakaway. You know, I don't think that some of the things that I've experienced in the past 2 years, you know, blatant hatred, that people have used me and abused me, I don't think they can be rehabilitated. It's very unfortunate that the project that I started with Helen Ziller in 2010 to build an alternative for our country, and building that alternative that people will vote for, that project is no more. But to me, the DA is history. You know, they must just leave me alone. I've left them, and I will leave them alone.
Yeah, but they're not leaving you alone, because as of Friday, there's still the SMS hanging over your head. And Xanthia Limburg has now filed, gone to court again, and she's not dropping the fact that this SMS was sent by you to her. You haven't as yet denied or confirmed it. Can you do that now? Did you send that SMS or not?
Leanne, I've said it over and over again. When Xanthia Limburg went to go and lay this charge with the police with me, it was part of the DA strategy that they've also done in the past. They went to court to lay a charge against me when they received allegations from a businessman in Johannesburg that in 2012 I've asked this businessman for a bribe. He sat with that information for 5 years, and the NPA has decided not to prosecute. The DA was aware that I'm going to make an announcement on Sunday, and so they instructed Xanthia Limburg to go and lay these charges against me. I will give my full cooperation to the police. I've always worked with the police when they call me, but I have asked for 2 years. I've asked for the DA to bring that evidence. Leanne, I had to turn to the courts to compel the DA to give the evidence. James Self is under oath and an affidavit in the High Court where he was saying that they can't give the evidence to me because everything in the DA is private and confidential. On the 1st of November, I was supposed to go to court to get them, to compel them to give the evidence. The DA then decided to abandon the Steenhuisen report that include that SMS, which means that Steenhuisen report has got no cause or effect. So there's a history behind it. I've always said that I'm prepared to go before a disciplinary hearing, to be held accountable, and a hearing that's open to the media and to the public, and I was prepared to do that.
Okay.
So there is a history, but now it is with the police, and let's wait and see.
Okay. Just to wrap this up, because I know you've got to go, and we've got our news at 7 o'clock. You said your mayorship in Cape Town proved that you can be a leader. How would you say that you've changed Cape Town for the better? And what can South Africans expect from you in a leadership role?
I've always put my country first, and as the mayor of the city of Cape Town, I've made sure that, especially looking after poor people, by directing the budget of the city 67% to be spent on poor people. Also to make sure that I build integrated cities dealing with the apartheid spatial planning. And I think the good experience that I have of the past 7 years is something that I also want to share with the rest of South Africans. But this time around, I would like to see more women coming forward. You know, we've seen women abuse. I mean, I have just experienced abuse myself. that I want to also mobilize women in our country to become involved in government, to become involved in the public service, so that we can use my experience to take that to the rest of South Africa, including young people and including women in our country.
Patricia de Lille, we leave it there. Thank you very much for talking to us. Good luck, and I'm sure that we're going to be hearing from Patricia de Lille, as we've heard, in the next 2 weeks with more names and the vision of this particular party. It's 7 o'clock. Let's get our news to you.